Hey you guys, we are back with another video. It has been a very long time since my last one. A little bit too long, but I felt this urge to make this video, and so here we are. And if you guys are wondering where I've been a lot of lessons from the universe, from myself, just emotional introspection, and I want to share with you the things that I've learned. Seem to be the theme that's going to come up in 2024. To help you kind of transform yourself, to have less suffering and negativity in your life, and so you can embrace more of the happiness, the joyfulness, and the gratitude for the things that you do have in your life, instead of focusing on what you don't. So the first major theme I want to talk about is judgment. A good example of this is when we perceive someone to be doing something which we disagree with. So we might think that someone is speaking to us and they're being a jerk, or they're being racist towards us just because of how they're behaving. They could be behaving in a really aggressive way, speaking to you in an aggressive tone. And initially, if someone's just kind of like yelling at you and you don't know why, you might perceive that as this person's an asshole, or they're racist, or some other reason, right? You create this reason in your mind, and it kind of makes you feel offended. It makes you feel angry because you think that this person is throwing their negativity at you. But then you don't realize that behind every action is a reason. And so this person may be acting this way for their own selfish reasons. And so what I mean by this is, if you encounter someone, let's say a grocery store clerk, they're very aggressive towards you. The reason why they're aggressive is not because they hate you or they have something against you. It's their own personal issue that you may not be aware of. So they may not have eaten for the past 8 hours, and so their blood sugar is at an all-time high, and that's making them feel crazy, and that's why they're acting that way. Or maybe they're in a rush to finish their shift so they can get home to celebrate their kid's birthday. And that's why they're kind of acting that way towards you, because they feel anxiety and guilt towards being late for their child's birthday. And so because of these reasons that people have, their own internal reasons for doing things, it actually has nothing to do with you, which is why they say don't take things personally, because a person's behavior actually has nothing to do with you. We just think that it does because we have been raised our entire life to believe that others act or behave based on how we make them feel. But the truth is that no one cares about us. No one cares about you. Everyone is selfish. They're all doing things for their own selfish reasons. Someone that donates money to charity isn't doing it because they want to be seen as a hero. They're doing it because it makes them feel better about themselves. It's their own personal reason for being charitable or being helpful. It's not about helping others. It's about helping themselves. A good way to illustrate this point is, imagine if you gave money to charity, but it makes you feel absolutely terrible. Would you keep doing it? Chances are, probably not. You might do it a few times because that's what everyone's been telling you to do, because that'll make you a good person. But at a certain point in time, you might stop doing it if it doesn't make you feel good inside. If it makes you feel horrible inside, there's no reason for you to continue doing it, even if it's perceived as something that is good. So the way we judge others and the judgment we place on others when we feel, let's say, attacked or offended, just realize that there's a personal reason behind it from the other person's perspective. So again, they might be stressed out that day. They might have just gone through some sort of event that left them traumatized or angry. And so they're carrying around that residual energy and just kind of throwing it out at people, but it has nothing to do with you. It's not personal. And the best way to kind of handle this kind of situation, if you do feel like you're being attacked or you're feeling offended, is just have compassion, right? Realize that if you're in their situation, you would probably do the same thing. So if you didn't eat for 8 hours and you had to work overtime, you'd probably be really cranky too, right? You wouldn't be very happy about it. And so being able to cultivate compassion for others, again, the reason why you So the airplane actually gives me a really good starting point for my next lesson to learn, which is having patience. So the reason why we have these judgment towards others is because we are technically impatient. We want to immediately find out the reason behind why someone is doing things. And so this is why we attribute judgment towards others without knowing the full story. So we might say that, oh, this person is talking to me in an aggressive tone, they are an asshole. Immediately your mind makes that connection because it's very impatient. It doesn't say, okay, this person is acting aggressive. What are all the possibilities as to why this person might be acting this way? And if you have a little patience in your mind, you allow yourself to just sit in that contemplation of wondering what are all the different reasons as to why someone might be yelling at you. If you're able to have patience towards why others might be doing something that offends you, or in a way you perceive it as to be offensive to your beliefs, by cultivating that patience, then it's easier to have compassion, not for others, but more for yourself. So what I mean by this is, when you start to understand why others do things, you will start being less harsh on yourself. You start to show yourself more self-love. You start to accept that it's okay to make mistakes at times. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to judge others and be incorrect about perceiving what the situation is. And the thing that prevents us from doing this is, again, our ego. Our ego is a subconscious personality that we have created throughout our life. And it exists to protect us. It exists to help us maintain our sense of self-worth and self-esteem. If we didn't have an ego, then we would always be very vulnerable to all of the things that might hurt us in society. So let's say that you take pride Let's say you take pride in being an artist, and you think that your art looks great. So you show it to some of your friends, and some of them are like, oh yeah, that looks great, that looks amazing, wow, you're doing such a great job, right? That feeds your ego. That reinforces the image that you are a good painter. And then now all of a sudden you show it to certain other people, and they're like, oh, this looks like trash, or like this could be improved, and they start giving you criticism. Now your ego goes on the defensive because it's trying to reinforce the image that you are a good painter. And so you might start to feel defensive, you might start to feel kind of taken aback by this person's criticism. But again, remember that it's not about you, it's a personal issue, right? So the reason why they're giving you that harsh criticism, if they're being tactless about it, is because they themselves have been criticized that way, and so they're just kind of pushing that onto other people. So they don't really have an opinion about what your art is. It's that when they try to paint themselves, other people gave them that kind of harsh criticism, and so when they're given the opportunity to do the same thing to you, they will take it and they will also be harsh towards you. And so the people that are positive, that give you positive feedback, let's say if you're an artist, towards your art, they're doing that not because your art is pretty or anything. It's because they themselves were shown a lot of love and compassion and positivity when they tried something new. As to what kind of people you want to hang around with, that would be your choice, right? It's your choice whether you want to hang around with people who are always looking into their past and projecting their own criticism onto others, or you can also hang around people that are more positive and spread that cheerfulness and happiness around. And so a good idea to have compassion for the people who are not yet on that vibrational level of being able to exude positivity. Just realize that they aren't ready for that kind of challenge. They're not ready to let go of their baggage, just as you yourself are not ready to let go of certain pieces of baggage. When you're able to cultivate compassion and say, okay, this person is saying this because of this reason, then you start to have compassion. When you start to understand the situation, then you are less likely to be offended by it and affected by it. Because you understand that, this person who's insulting me is doing so because someone insulted them. It has nothing to do with me. I can just walk away. I can just ignore them. I don't even have to pay attention to it. And then just go about your day. And so all of these themes kind of tie together coming into the year of 2024 to help us transform ourselves from carrying around all this weight and baggage that's been weighing us down and allowing others to affect how we should be feeling internally. So the third and last tip I have for you is once you're able to get over the obstacle of judgment, of judging others because of what they do or don't do, then you start to tap into something called creativity and freedom. Creativity and freedom is aligned with the core principles of how our universe works. And so if you cultivate this kind of vibration in your life, this kind of energy, then you are vibrating in harmony with the universe, and you will start to realize that life is a lot smoother and easier for you. So what I mean by creativity and freedom, and being able to cultivate this, is chances are we subconsciously do things because others have told us to do them in a certain way. So let's say you are someone who has a few weird quirks. So when you eat your food, you eat it. You don't really just like straight away eat it. You kind of like examine it like a scientist would. You kind of poke at it, you smell at it, you play with your food, right? And chances are, if you've been growing up, someone has told you, right, stop playing with your food, right, just eat it, it's going to get cold. Well, that is what is that? That is a projection that someone is trying to force upon you to limit your creativity and freedom by doing that. Because as a child, you don't have any kind of limitations as to what you can and can't do. You just do things because you find it fun, you find it enjoyable. But then as you're growing up, people start enforcing these rules and limitations on you, like don't play with your food. And so as you grow up, you start to take on these limitations yourself, and you start to act in that way. And this limits your creativity and your freedom. It limits your happiness because you're not being authentic to who you are. And we are the person who we are authentically are is who we were when we were children. We were full of wonder and joy. We were always full of curiosity, and we never thought about consequences, right? Kids always get into trouble. They're always curious. They're always running around trying to explore places. What happened to that curiosity as we grew up? Well, we start to encounter negative situations and negative people who start saying you can't do this or you can't do that, and punishing us for it when we step out of line. So then going back to my first 2 points, you have these people that are trying to control you and limit your freedom and your happiness. You just have to realize that advice they're giving you is based on how they were treated when they were children. So now that you understand this, right, again, go back to the example of someone is being aggressive towards you, they didn't eat for 8 hours, it has nothing to do with you. It's their own personal issue. So you don't have to listen to them. You don't have to acknowledge what it is that they're saying. You don't even have to pay attention to it, right? So they say you can't do that here. You can just ignore them and continue doing whatever it is that you're doing because they have no power over you. And that's how you liberate yourself from the rules that society has projected on you. And that's how you live your life freely without ever worrying about what others might think about you, about what doubts you might have, about what anxieties might plague you, about whether or not you're living up to someone's expectations. Because the only expectations you have are the ones that you place on yourself. And so when you stop caring about what others want from you, you start asking yourself what it is that I truly want. What is it that makes me personally happy instead of the others around me because I'm trying to please them all the time. Then you start to tap into creativity and freedom. You start to show more self-love for yourself. Even if that means being how you perceive yourself as an asshole. So, a good example of this is someone, cuts you off in traffic. What society has, there's two trains of thought, right? One of them is, just ignore the situation and go about your day. But in that moment, if you feel really heated and as though that person pissed you off, then you might want to yell at them. Because that is your true authentic self. You have to ask yourself, if I choose to yell at this person, am I doing it because society has told me to yell at them, or because I myself want to do it? And if you choose not to yell at them, you have to ask yourself that same question. Do I want to not yell at this person because society has told me to be a calm person, or is it because that is who I actually am authentically on the inside? So you have to decide that for yourself. And the only way you'll be able to realize which one you are is by allowing yourself the freedom to basically choose both options. So if you encounter the same situation, in one situation you choose, let's say, the path which feels right to you, which is in that moment, okay, it feels right for me to yell at this person, I'm going to do it. And then you see the aftermath afterwards. Do you like yelling at this person? Do you feel lighter, or do you feel heavier? If you feel heavier, that's probably not your authentic self. And then if you choose, not to yell at this person and just let it go, do you feel lighter or heavier? If you feel lighter, then that probably means that you are vibrating in harmony with your own authentic self. And so that's a good way for you to judge who it is that you are. And that's why these kind of situations pop up, to give you the chance to choose which type of behavior you want to be aligned with, the heavier vibration or the lighter vibration. And a little hint for you guys, the lighter vibration is the one which will make you happier. The heavier vibration is the one which will continue to weigh you down. It's like baggage, right? It feels like weight. And so you just need to ask yourself, does this feel heavy to me, or does this feel light? The right path will always feel light. It will always feel easy. And I know society has taught you the opposite. They've told you that you need to work hard and slave and blah, 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 which is the heavier vibration. But if somehow you're watching this video on this random guy from YouTube, I'm telling you, choose the lighter vibration because it's the easier one. And there's no shame in choosing the lighter vibration, because that's where we're all headed. We're taking off our weight. We're taking off everything that's been heavy towards us, that's preventing us from achieving our true potential, from helping us ascend and become enlightened, and from living a life of happiness and joyfulness. Because at the end of the day, life is about happiness. If we don't enjoy being here, if we don't enjoy living life, then what is the point? It doesn't matter if you're a good person if you're not happy. It doesn't matter if you have all the money in the world if you're not happy. It doesn't matter if you're an outstanding role model for society if you feel terrible about it. We do all these things because we think that it'll make us happy. It'll make us feel satisfied. It'll make us feel good. We want to feel good. That's why we live life. So do the things that make you feel good, regardless of what anyone else thinks. Because as long as we hang on to caring about what others think, we won't truly be able to achieve our authentic happiness. Because there's a lot of advice out there that may not necessarily be in your best interest. So it's good to keep an open mind and judge for yourself what works for you, what doesn't. Keep what works for you, discard what does not. Same with this video, same with my advice, same with everything that you've ever heard in your life. That's my end of 2023 year message to you all. Hope you all having a wonderful holidays, wonderful year, closing it out, however you may be doing it. And I'll see you all in 2024. Much love to you all. Peace out. See you in my next video.